Everyone, welcome to this week's Finite Finances video. We're filming in a new location this week. I kind of got kicked out of my last location. We foster dogs, and that is the foster dogs room for right now. And I did try to film with him, kind of how like Midna got up on the couch with me, but he's a little bit of a wild man and he kept knocking over the camera, so he got fired as co-host. He's a sweetie though, and he's gonna make someone a really great pet who has the time to sit down and teach him a little, some manners. But this week we do have a free deal of the week, but it's not technically free. So there's these they're the Nabisco brand, so you're gonna look for that little red triangle Nabisco brand of these kind of 99-cent car cups. And they have them in different versions where they're not necessarily the cookies, they're like the crackers. I just grabbed the cookies because that's what they had. So the deal for these is they end up being 25 cents a piece. So it's not free, but it's pretty close to free. So it's close enough to free that I thought it would be an okay deal of the week. This is not a great week for sales coupon-wise. The, Christmas season has ended and the, new year really hasn't started up for couponing just yet. But the deal is, these are $1 a piece, and you can get them $1 almost anywhere. Walmart, Target, CVS, they all have these guys for $1. And it's a deal on Ibotta. And the Ibotta deal is when you buy 2 Nabisco products, you get back $1.50. And so if you've got these two guys, so 2 for $2, you get back $1.50. You only end up paying 50 cents for both of them, or 25 cents a piece. It's a good little deal on some Nabisco cookie things. So this week for the video, I wanted to talk about gamifying your goals. And to gamify something is a really interesting term that I like a lot. It's an economist term, and they kind of talk about incentives a lot. What incentivizes people to do what they do? What makes them do something they wouldn't otherwise do? And those are incentives. And so when you're trying to create an incentive, a really good incentive to get somebody to do something that they otherwise might not want to do is to turn it into a game. It's kind of that Mary Poppins, just a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down kind of deal. And so in my experience, there are 2 types of people when it comes to like sports. And I always say that I don't sport. I've never really liked team sports because I'm not particularly competitive. I'm not super excited about, who's winning what, especially if I'm not playing. I don't watch sports, but I didn't even play sports when I was a kid, except for a couple of things we'll talk about in a minute. But there's a lot of people who are really, really into sports, especially team sports, because they need to win and they need to beat somebody else in order to feel like they have won. And so if you're one of these types of people, good news, it's really easy to gamify your goals. You just need to find other people with the same or similar goals and turn it into a competition. So let's say you and some of your friends have a very common goal after the new year, weight loss or eating healthier. Get together with your friends, decide, hey, here's the goal, here's the finish line, here's how long we're going to do this, and here's kind of the stopping points along the way. So maybe once a week, y'all get together and compare numbers, and you can kind of have people that win every week on the way to somebody who wins the whole competition. Because if you don't check in often enough, you kind of lose that motivation, even if you really, really want to win. It just becomes too infrequent of a thing. But you get your team together, and it's really easy with the internet these days to find somebody who has the same goals as you, even if they're strangers on the internet. The Fitbit app has a way that you can compete with your friends on Fitbit for who has, the most number of steps that week. Or you can go to kind of message boards or online forums, things like that. But there's a lot of great ways to kind of get in on a competition. And now for the second type of person, that'd be me, that's really not into kind of competitive sports. I will say I did do 2 sports growing up, if you can call. Yeah, they're sports. They're in the Olympics. I was a swimmer, and I was on the rifle team. And so in both cases, yes, there's a team aspect, but you're really working on your own individual goals. You're trying to beat your own individual times or your own individual score in hopes that it will help your team. But when you're swimming in the pool and when it's your turn up to shoot, it's just you. You're the only one you're relying on. You're the only one who, can beat yourself or lose against yourself, per se. Although there is some aspect of trying, especially with the swimming, because it's a race, so there's that aspect as well. But with riflery, definitely not. You're not racing somebody for who can shoot the fastest. You get like an hour per target. You're just going for the highest score. But I am really motivated to beat the only person I care about competing with, and that's myself. That's kind of that cheesy, I'm only trying to beat the person I was yesterday, kind of thing. But for me, it's kind of true that I'm really just trying to get to a better place than I was before. I'm just trying to beat my past self. I have no interest in beating somebody else. That doesn't motivate me per se. And if it does motivate you, then it's a lot easier for you to gamify your goals. But even if you're just one-on-one, you're doing your own thing, you've got your own goals, that works just fine too. So for me, one of the big ones that I've recently just decided I've reached my goal, like I'm at peak, is the kind of the lunch that I bring to work with me. And so I discovered a few years ago that I was spending quite a bit of money on lunches at work, that I was going out to eat, I was getting fast food, and it not only was expensive, but it was unhealthy. And so I decided that could kind of be two goals in one. I could kind of knock out two birds, one stone. And so I decided to try to figure out ways to get my lunch costs down. And if you told me when I first started this, competition, that it was going to be, I was going to go from a big extreme to the other, I would have told you that was impossible. But because it was kind of a week-to-week thing, like this week I want to spend 1 penny less than I spent last week minimum. If I can spend less than that, even better. And there was a balance I had to figure out at first that, at some point, cheap food ends up being gross food. And so if you bring gross food with you just because it's cheap, you won't eat it. You'll go out and get, fast food, whatever it is anyway, and you'll spend the money and it won't be particularly healthy. But for me, it probably took about 3 years to go from where I was spending maybe $10 a day on my lunch to now I average between 50 and 80 cents per meal. And I'm not eating, a discount bag of chips. I'm eating, tuna salad, celery, apples, almonds, sandwiches, good, delicious food that's also good for me and that I managed to get for cheap. And now some of that is because I do coupon, and so I really lower my out-of-pocket costs that way. But it was just this thing that, I started with this goal in mind, and I kept going until I looked up one day and was like, man, that's a nothing line item in my budget at this point, and now I'm kind of moving on to other aspects of my life that I'm trying to gamify in different ways. So now it's breakfast. I'm trying to get my breakfast game on point too, as opposed to my lunch game is covered. I'm good on lunch, great on lunch, in fact. So when you're looking at your goals, rather than thinking like, okay, I need to stop spending so much on lunch, I'm going to give myself this shoestring budget, and I'm just going to suffer through it. I'm just going to get it done. You're going to be miserable. You're going to quit, and then you're going to feel bad and feel like a failure because you quit. But if you turn it into a game that you can win and give yourself very clear kind of goal marks along the way, like once a week check-ins. And so instead of saying I'm going to go from spending $10 a week today or $10 a meal today to spending 80 cents a meal next week, you're going to be miserable and you're going to be scrambling. But if you say, okay, I'm spending $10 a meal this week, next week, how can I cut something out? How can I get something cheaper? How can I make one swap? And the next week it's another swap, and you're just cutting off 50 cents at a time, and it feels like these little wins all the way along, as you go along until you get to the big one where you turn around and you're like, I used to spend what? A week on food? No, I don't spend a quarter of that now. And then you get to feel like you won, and the whole time it was kind of fun because it was a game, it was a competition that you were in with yourself. Now, if you're the kind of person who likes organized sports and likes a team, then you could make it a collaborative effort. You could find somebody else that has a similar or same goal and be like, okay, let's swap some recipes. Let's, text each other deals that we find. And let's, hey, this week I got this much food for this much. Oh yeah, well this week I got this much food for this much. And kind of get into this competition, recipe swap kind of thing where, everybody wins really. But you can kind of declare a winner and decide that whoever wins gets either a certain amount of money that's related to how much y'all saved, or gets just bragging rights, frankly, but gets, the prize. And whatever it takes to make your goals that much more fun will make them that much more achievable. and make you feel that much more accomplished. So again, when you're going out and about today, these are not super good New Year's resolution diet foods. Even the crackers are not super, super healthy, but they would be healthier than the cookies. But if you have kids, you can give them to the kids, neighborhood kids, or you can donate them. They're a good item to kind of donate to your local shelter, just little snacks kind of thing. They're only $0.25 a piece, so they're a good deal no matter how you shake it. And then next week, we're going to try to find some more, free stuff. There is stuff that you can get for free with coupons this week, but I'm trying with these videos to not have you have to go get a weekly newspaper in order to get the coupons. So like, for example, there's a lot of good deals on toothpaste this week, but in order to do them, you had to have gotten the Sunday paper this morning that has coupons in it in order to get those coupons to get the good deal. And so at this point, by the time you're watching this video, it's really too late for you to go out and get the newspaper, and now I'm just teasing. So that's why these guys are the deal of the week, but still tasty, good deal, especially if your New Year's resolution is to, get some more sugar in your life. That kind of deal. But anyway, remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment if you like the new setup, or if you want me to switch back to the couch once either we get Rufus a little bit more calmed down. We've only had him for a couple of days, and so he just needs a little bit more time. Or, he actually had a really excellent meet and greet this morning. So it's entirely possible that by this time next week, he may already be in his new home. And at that point, it's not an issue. Or do y'all prefer kind of having my great-grandmother's china cabinet on display here, complete with my grandmother's Christmas stuff and my mother's fine china, So it's a good little backdrop. And then my privacy screen here. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you love it, hate it, can leave it, either way. And I will see y'all next week.